All right, if I can have everyone please stand, make sure your mics are on, do the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morgan Township meeting, November 23rd, 2020 at 7 p.m. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Updike?
Yes?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the Morgan Township Board of Trustee minutes dated November 9th, 2020 as written. Second.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Alrighty, I'll entertain a motion to approve the warrants.
I'll make a motion to approve the payment listing from 11/10/2020 through 11/23/2020. Payment number 794-2020 to 826-2020. And warrant number 10294 is void. 10316 through 10321. 1322 is void. 1323, then 10324 is void, then 10325 through 10342 for a total of $142,958.90. Second.
Okay, just to mention too, the voids were checks that were not totally printed right, so the numbers were messed up, correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
yes.
I might also mention that that is higher than normal because we made the payment to LCNB National Bank for the bond, and we did the $15,000 extra principal payment that's listed on this payment listing.
Okay. All right. Did Mr. Petrie come in, or is he still outside? He's
sitting
sitting in the hallway. Sitting in the hallway? Mr. Petrie?
What? Is it?
It's on. I got it on, Dale.
Oh, you got it on? Okay.
You can come on up to the mic, present your name and address, please.
My name's Pete Petrie, 7800 North Dwyer Road, Okeene, Ohio, 45053.
Okay. And what can we do for you tonight?
Well, one, I'm here over an ordeal I had with the fire department. And the big ordeal was this officer over there decided she wanted to start throwing her damn authority around on me. I first started out kind of joking and kidding around with her. No, she's got to get this big serious. I got news for you. I've been treated bad all my life by women, and there ain't no woman going to talk to me that way. And I don't care who she is. That's number one. I did get the information out of her that there was a burn ban on until December the 1st. That was nice. But I come to trustees meeting to find out the logistics. She told me, oh, I can go to the firehouse and get a paper on it. And then toward the end of it, she said, I might have a paper in the truck. I didn't want it. But I came here and found out that the burn ban ends December 1st, but the burn ban is from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., which she never told me. Because I looked at my watch because it was so close to 6 p.m., it wasn't funny. And I don't appreciate not getting the truth out of anybody. And with her attitude the way it was, I think they ought to have a, what we want to call this, the public perception for the fire department out there, the communication with the public. And I think she ought to be trained in that for about 40 hours to get her attitude changed. That's what I had to do with that. Okay, now we have another thing we'll talk about on the fire department, and that is, well, maybe the color of our trucks. How did we end up with this stupid red truck? What's the purpose of red? Is it more visible than white? Is it more visible than school bus yellow? Is it more visible than lime green? We used to have white trucks, which was supposed to be one of the safest colors there is for a fire truck. But you know what? Somebody decided we wanted stupid red trucks. I'll tell you another thing that we used to be when it was volunteer, we had the white trucks. Drewsburg up there is yellow. If somebody called mutual aid and somebody goes rolling up on scene, we used to be able to tell who it was just by looking at the truck coming. But can you now, when Ross is the same color as ours, and Riley's the same color as ours, and who is it, Crosby, same colors, everybody's got the same color trucks? No, you gotta listen on the radio to make sure, but what happens if you just glance up and see a truck? Well, who's coming? Can you tell?
Does it really matter? There's a truck coming.
But I'm saying white stands out a lot more than red does. Quote, safety issue. The other question they ask is I believe the truck when it came up here and showed at my house was undermanned. They're driving a 4-man cab truck. They had the driver, they had their officer, and they had one grunt in the back. Well, let's see, when I was on the department, the driver was supposed to be the driver engineer. The officer's the ones that's supposed to assess the scene and tell what's going on, and if there's need more assistance coming in, be able to start communicating. The grunt is the one that's supposed to be pulling the attack line. But I'd like to see that one man pull the attack line, a 2.5-inch attack line under full charge and open the nozzle up on the end and hold it. There's supposed to be 2 men on the end of a line. The guy on the nozzle and the guy behind with his shoulder to the guy's back to support him. So there's a safety issue. Why is our trucks undermanned? We got a paid department.
I think we'll answer that when you get done.
And then, see, is there anything else on the department? That's what I'm trying to think here. Nah, I think that pretty well sum up the department stuff, issues I've been having. And then, next question comes, I was here at the last meeting, we're gonna start talking about zoning. Let's talk about our lovely zoning. The man sat there and at this last meeting, got talking about, well, we got a camper here with somebody staying in it, or a camper over there, or somebody staying in it, and a camper there. Got a question to ask. These people's down and out on their luck. And mom and dad, or their uncle, or their cousin says, hey, you can stay out there. Question to ask, what or who are they hurting by staying in that camper? Come on, I want an answer right now for that one. What or who are they hurting by staying in that camper?
There's different rules we have to go by.
I
If
ain't
they're
gonna take a
within the
different rule
rules-
to go by. I wanna know what the down-to-earth point is. It's all because you're not collecting a tax dollar on it. You're not getting that almighty buck. That's what the problem with it is. No, you don't have compassion if he's down and out on his luck and needs a damn roof over his head. Think about it. Where's your compassion to somebody that's down and out on their luck?
Did you not listen at the last meeting when he did ask what was going on and we assessed each situation? I guess you didn't hear that part?
Nope.
Okay.
There are circumstances, like we've known that people have quarantined in a motorhome or a trailer or something outside of the house because either they had COVID or symptoms of COVID or a family member did, to isolate them. And we're perfectly fine with that. But to make it a permanent residence, it's not okay. If
Why
it's
not?
temporary, because it's not a residence.
It's a roof over your head, ain't it?
So
If
is
you
it,
have
so is a
somebody to
tent.
go somewhere, oh, it's okay, we'll go take and sit there and pull them out of that trailer, throw them out, they can go over to Hampton or whatever, live on the streets in Hampton, or somewhere, go to the city, or live out here on the street.
Now, if you listen to me, if there's underlying circumstances and they are down on their luck, we'll work with them. But to make it a permanent residence and they're not down on their luck, they're not quarantined, that is against the zoning violation or zoning regulation, and that is a violation, and we have to enforce that. Do you understand that?
Okay.
If they're not, if there's no underlying but if there's somebody that's down on their luck and they're hurting, okay, we can work with them on that. And that's what we do. That's why we send out the letter. We try to get them to come in and explain their situation. But for them to live there permanently, and that's a permanent residence, we cannot allow that.
Okay, now it's still pertaining to zoning.
Okay?
Guys wanting to build a building. The other issue that was coming up was, quote, setback requirements. He said, can't be within, well, come on, describe it. How was it you described that? If you have 250 feet of road frontage, you gotta have 10%, 25 feet?
Yes, sir.
What's that about? What if the guy's got a piece of ground, the only flat piece of ground if he's wanting to build a garage on, it's right over here. He's got a gully beside it, a steep hill on the other side of it, and that's the only place he's got to build his garage.
That's what we've
But
got.
he's only got 10 feet of,
That's why we've got a BZA, a Board of Zoning Appeals. They can appeal. This is our laws. This is our zoning regulation. If you want to differ from that and get a setback for like 10 feet or whatever you need, that's what we have a board for. They'll come in.
You go in and see, that's $500.
$400.
Or whatever it is to apply for an appeal and, well, let's see, well, no. We want you to have more than that. Sorry, just give us the $400 and see you. Is that what that does?
Not really. I mean, it's a board, and if they show a hardship that I cannot build on any place other than my property but right here, and they show that, the board is pretty lenient.
Well, I'd asked him about taking a sit and about getting the referendum up to sit there and see if there's enough people in this township that might want to vote to let the county start managing.
Well, there's a
That's an
problem with that,
option.
because the county will not take it back.
Yeah.
So
Plus, these rules that you're complaining or got a hardship with, Butler County has them rules too. So even if we went back to them, you're still under these same rules pretty much. Ours differs a little, but those same rules are in theirs as well.
Yeah, well, it's just like he said though, is our township zone is mostly the same as the county. I like that word mostly.
Well, there are changes.
There
that
are
we-
changes.
There are changes that we have done to fit our township, okay? Not to run by Butler County. And like Brett has said, the county won't take us back.
This was put in place in 1988, if I remember right.
Right, and
Yeah,
the first,
I don't remember zoning was first voted in, but I voted no for zoning.
Well,
I
is it-
remember when it came up, and I voted to repeal the zoning, and I'm pretty sure I probably voted for the county to maintain the zoning.
Well, it was passed for here, and that was
was
before I ever
passed.
become a trustee.
it was
Well, that's
passed,
the
it
problem.
became
We had
effective
All the
November,
big zoning buddy trustees, Mr. Copeland and Mr. Dillhoff and Mr., I can't remember, if it was Mr. Colgate or who the other one was that was in on that.
probably. I don't remember myself either, but 1988 was zoning
But I
came
was
in.
never
The
for it.
first 9 years
For
of the
the simple
zoning.
reason, I've never been for it is I'll say it this way, I own 2 acres, I control 2 acres. If you own 200 acres, you control your 200. I ain't gonna tell you what to do with your 200, and I don't need you with your 200 tell me what I'm gonna do with my 2. Because I'm also a firm believer of our founding fathers that sat there and said, the government that governs least governs best. Well, we got our zoning, is this governing least?
I think we govern least compared to most of the counties in Butler County.
Got that right.
We're not telling you your grass can only be 3 inches tall. We're not doing stuff like that. I think that's crazy. And that does happen in Butler County.
And then the other thing I was going to ask about is what about like my neighbor's got a privacy fence they put up. That was during zoning and it was never approved to be put up, for one. And number 2, 2/3 of it's sitting on me. What do I gotta do to go about getting that fence put back on the property line if they want it?
Well,
That's
first,
a civil suit between you and
you
them.
and him. The second thing is I can check to see if there was a certificate drawn on the person, if you will leave me his name and address. Okay? Otherwise, I can't do anything else other than that.
Because that's a private
That's a
property.
private property piece there.
Once you get off that road right away in the private property, then that falls between you and your neighbor. And then there is some fence laws that go into agriculture. I don't know if that's an agricultural, I'm assuming it's not since you said a privacy fence.
That's why I would need the name and address, because then I could look it up, and it would be, if it's residential permitted use, then it would be different.
You have anything else? If not, I will let the fire department answer some of your questions.
Nope, I'm done.
Mr. Griffith, or
Sure,
you, or
absolutely.
Chief, or whichever.
Well, Chief, do you want to answer the ones about the staffing, or you? Okay.
You give me
Mr.
the
Petrie,
address.
if you like,
Write it down there.
you can sit right back there in the corner if you're done speaking.
What I have for you, well, I'll start from the beginning. So I was asked to investigate this. So on Monday, November 9th,
You want that up?
no, I don't, that's not the, at Monday, November
That's okay,
9th.
I can,
at-
I'll find the name by just the address.
I'll say, Mr. Petrie, there's a chair there if you'd like.
On Monday, November 9th, at 5:15 in the afternoon, Morgan Township Fire was dispatched to 7800 block of North Dwyer for a complaint of an open burn. Engine 141 responded with a crew of 3, which is our standard crew, as is the crew for Crosby Township, Ross Township, and most other jurisdictions that are not contractually obligated for a 4th. The city of Hamilton also staffs with 3 on their engine. That's an NFPA minimum. They arrived to find not an open burn, but what they found was, and the term is very important here, is a prescribed burn. And under Ohio, a prescribed burn refers to intentionally lit under predetermined conditions. The owner of that home was burning cattails off of a pond, which meets the qualifications of a prescribed burn. I've included a map of the property back there. There was two fires per my interview with the 3 people. One around a telephone pole that carries a wire across, and then one further back on the property. They were immediately met by the complainant, whose first statement was, and I'm quoting, "Did that MFing next door neighbor call on me?"
That wasn't the first statement, sir. That was about the
Sir,
third.
I'm speaking. You had your chance to speak. Now I had to rebut you, okay? I interviewed all the people on the crew. They were also met with, "That effing fire chief from Florida won't let us burn. Everybody else out here hates him for that." The crew describes this as an aggressive, irate attack on them and their crew. The 2 males on the crew felt that they were so threatened that when the complainant came at them, that they actually blocked the progress of him towards our lieutenant. At that time, due to the irate and aggressive behavior of the owner, they called for a sheriff's deputy for support, because at that point, we're really getting into 29.17.13, which is misconduct at an emergency scene, which I've included the ORC. I've included the ORC's applicable verbiage on that. I've also included the 1503.18, which is the Kindred Fires ORC, and you cannot burn till 6 p.m. on those months, as we've discussed. Also, to do a prescribed burn, there's a couple things that has to happen. One, anytime you do a prescribed burn, you need EPA approval 10 days in advance. You need a prescribed burn plan, and it has to be signed off by the fire chief. In the months of March through May, and October through November, also you need the ODNR's Division of Forestry's approval to do any kind of burning at all during those hours. Due to the fact that none of these things were achieved, the fire department requested that the fire be put out. There was no water source near, and it was not tended at that time except from a deck. So at that time, they asked them to put out the fire. The whole crew continues to feel that they were under attack by aggressive nature, and that's why they called for a deputy. I interviewed all 3 persons on the crew separately. They all told me the same story immediately, and I interviewed them when the incident happened. It was not days later, it was not months later, it was the day it happened. They called me and said, we had a call for a deputy. There was aggressive behavior on this call, and we requested Sheriff's Office support. Is there any questions regarding my investigation?
What time of day did they respond? Did you?
5:15 PM, 45 minutes before the burn ban ended. And the way the state sees the burn ban is we can make the burn ban more stringent, but we cannot, and that's in your packet also, you cannot make the burn ban less stringent. And we have not done anything to the burn ban. As I said at the last meeting, we do not go out and look for violations, because technically, everybody who's burning trash on those months are violating the burn ban, and we don't enforce that. Only reason we responded there is from a complaint from, we don't know who, but they called 911 and said the burn ban was being violated, and it was causing them issues with their home.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're allowed to burn like in a fire pit, small wooden fires, which you could do hot dogs
Yes,
or different
cooking.
things like that, but you're not allowed to burn open areas, you're not
No.
allowed to burn
No,
tires, trash.
This was a prescribed burn. The removal of cattails around this pond was a prescribed burn by the definition of the Ohio Division of Forestry, which would be illegal under any terms not allowed in the burn ban.
But the procedure he would need to do if he wanted to do that would be to,
He would first need to get the Ohio EPA's approval, then he would get the Ohio Division of Forestry's approval, and then he'd have to do a prescribed burn plan and have the chief sign off on it. And that's every entity follows that, whether it's the park, Whitewater just did a bunch of burns, they had to get a waiver. You have to get a waiver.
How long's that been in effect? I mean, obviously, he's been burning his cattails over the last, has he been in violation for many
The
years?
ORC that speaks to this is 2/11/1988,
88.
and it's not a problem other than somebody called and complained. And then we have to take, at that point, you have to take action. It's no different with COVID now. If a bar stays open past 10 and no one catches it, but somebody calls and complains, they're gonna take action. It's not our rule, it's a state law, and it's in the ORC, and it's an enforceable, and we enforce it whenever we get a complaint. We don't single people out, we go and take care of it.
and he's not the first one that this has been
He's not the
called
first
on.
one, he won't be the last.
The only thing I gotta say about it all was, is it didn't initially start out that way. I kind of half chuckled when I sat there and said, you know, what's up or whatever, and that's when they say, she asked me, she says, well, what are you doing? Halfway nice. And I just kind of chuckled and said, I'm burning cattails. Then the next words out of her mouth, straight out was, you can't do that, just about that attitude too. There's a burn ban on.
I don't have testimony to that fact.
Yeah, you don't have testimony because all your guys are probably telling you half the truth.
No, sir, that crew is a highly,
Just to protect themselves.
there's nothing to protect himself. They were actually enforcing a state law. There's no,
That's fine and dandy, but they could have been a hell of a lot nicer about it.
I interviewed all three and they said they were nothing but cordial.
Yeah, right, that was cordial.
Penny, would you like to come to the mic?
Yeah, she's on better behavior today. She's got the good attitude around you.
So first of all, I'd like to change one discrepancy. The gentleman says that I told him there was a burn ban. I did not.
Yes, you did.
Please, may I finish what I'm saying too? You certainly were allowed to speak. He told me there was a burn ban on. And I said, well, this is not an instance of the burn ban. This is a prescribed burn. It's a different matter. It still does need to be put out. So I never told him there was a burn ban. He already knew there was a burn ban.
I did not know there was a burn ban. Don't tell me I told you that.
Continue.
He's the one that told me there was a burn ban afterward.
Penny, please go ahead. Go ahead.
So that's a big discrepancy. I told him it was a prescribed burn, and he said, what does that mean? And I told him that a prescribed burn has to be.
Hey, there's no need for that.
Hey, that's not appropriate.
What do you say?
Called her an effing bee.
Huh?
That's
Called her
what
an
he-
effing
That's
bee.
what he called me the whole time.
I got a problem with that.
I still can't hear what you
He
said.
called her an effing bee. Just
Sir?
not. I can't, that's my,
Just
I
hold
can't.
on. If you're gonna keep spurting out, and the language, I had that talk with you before, we have to keep the language clean in here. If not, I will ask you to leave. If you continue,
I'll leave. I'll tell you what, it don't make a difference. You just gonna keep letting them all pick and sit there, tell a bunch of spout out a bunch of lies.
have a good day.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry, Penny.
Thanks, Penny.
Would you like to still finish, or?
Just, that was a major thing, but the other thing was, I'm sorry. The other thing was, as soon as he came at me, he was very aggressive. So I knew, and my crew knows, because they're my crew, that this is eventually gonna be some kind of a problem because of the way he just attacked us and came at us. So the boys didn't say anything. They just stood there very close to me, as a matter of fact, because he didn't like me a bit.
And they actually reported that when she walked across the survey of the property, they put themselves between him and her because they felt, once again, there was a direct threat to her.
They did.
And I interviewed them immediately after the incident. There was no coercion or talk of this. They didn't know I was incoming. I came up and talked to all three. And they also all noted that this was, the expletives ran the whole thing just like that they were under verbal assault the whole time they were at the scene.
And that's very
why
true.
you called it for a cop.
And that's why
That's
they
why I
called,
called it
that's
a
why
cop.
they called for a sheriff's deputy.
And my crew knew exactly what I had done because I said, excuse me, and I took a couple steps back and they could hear me ask for a deputy.
Can you issue the citation, or would it have to come from the responding officer if we would cite on an open burn like this?
That would be the EPA.
That's the Ohio EPA.
That'd be
Ohio
the EPA, and that fine starts at $10,000. The other thing is that the officer could arrest him on a fourth-degree misdemeanor for interfering with a fire crew. It's any lawful public employee responder doing their work. It was borderline on that. They don't go looking for that either, but
Did the officer explain that to him? That he would,
Deputy Best responded, and we were basically done. I had to go over and see the other side, because on the other side of the house, he had also started a fire. So I said, sir, would you please give me permission to go over and check the other fire to make sure that it's out? And his comments were normal, but we went over there and checked it, and when we came back is when I said, in the truck, I do have the rules, according to EPA and the forestry. If you'd like, I'll be happy to get it for you. Of course, I got expletives after that. And at that point, the fire was out. And so he goes, I'm gonna go to the trustees with that. And I said, you're certainly welcome to do that, sir. You have a nice night. We all turned around and walked up, and as we walked up to the road, Deputy Best right then was coming on scene. So he got out and asked me what was going on, and I told him. And he said, well, does he know not to start it up again when you leave? I said, yes, we told him that. We told him what he needed to do a prescribed burn. He goes, well, do I need to go do anything? I said, not that I'm aware of. I said, he does know not to start it back up, and we're done, so now we'll be leaving. So he's fine, and he got in the car, and he was there for a few minutes, and then we left, and then he came out behind us. So I don't believe he actually went up and talked to the man.
okay.
But yes, he was very aggressive, and he was very verbalizing, abusive. And what I started to say was when he first started, his first words out of his mouth, when he asked if the lady next door had called on him, which I don't know the answer to that because I don't know who called. The words he used for her, I knew that this, if it got no worse, just right now, this is bad. So my crew never said a word. So they should not be held for anything because they never said a word. And I knew that he was being obviously very aggressive. So I smiled and said, yes, sir, no, sir. And every sentence I said to him had the word sir in it. When I asked if I could go across to look at the other fire to see if it had gone out, I asked for his permission. And I think I did it very cordially and very nicely. But-
And the entire crew reported that same thing. They said it was nothing but a pleasant attempt on
The
our
thing
end.
that kind of got me was when he says that, number one, I never yelled at him. Number two, I had no other voice inflection than what I have right now, is that what I think is funny is that he told me about the burn ban. I did not tell him, because that really didn't have that much to do with it. That was a prescribed burn. So, I'm sorry, I thought someone was trying to say something.
Is the EPA fine structure different for prescribed versus open? Because there's more steps to take in a prescribed burn. You gotta notify get permission, and you have to also get permission from the
Ohio Department of Forestry.
Department of Forestry. So is the fine greater than 10,000, starting at 10,000?
The only thing in my interaction with the Ohio EPA is that's where they start at. Is anything of an open type burn, that's their minimum number that they start at is $10,000 and work their way up. And I think it's kind of like they decide the severity and then decide what it's going to be. So
With all the checks and balances in a prescribed burn with the ODNR and EPA and then us signing off on it, there really is never a question of a fine unless they, out of the blue, when they light it off, burn stuff that's illegal. Obviously, tires, lumber, processed wood, whatever, box springs and mattresses. But that's usually on people that just burn trash in the yard that we notify EPA on when we get those kind of incidents. Prescribed burns have, like I said, have so many checks and balances that we're clearly telling them, the ODNR, EPA, and then us is the last one that does the last check on them to sign off on it. This is fence lines or pasture land or something, just grass and all that. So we never have, I've never ever had an issue anywhere close to having EPA come out and issue fines on a prescribed burn because everybody already knows what the rules are.
But if they didn't follow the rules and get the sign-offs of the three, the Department of Forestry and EPA, if they just did a prescribed burn without taking any of those steps,
They'd be subject to a fine.
Yes.
We'd have to notify Ohio EPA. They come out, they have the authority to write the fines and the violations. And they actually represent, because they represent the Clean Air Act and everything like that through ODNR as the authority that has the authority to do the fines and stuff. Basically, we call them and they come out and they take it from there. Again, we don't have the authority as a Township Fire Department to write and sign and violate them. We would just have to call the Sheriff's Office to have the violation from a deputy if they're interfering with us trying to put it out or anything that happened on this one. That's one thing, but the fine for the fire would be totally at the Ohio EPA.
okay.
And we do have other farmers and stuff in the township that
That
do
follow the
prescribed
policies.
burns, and there's never an issue with them. They also even do us the courtesy of calling us and telling us what days and where they're doing it.
I was familiar with a case where there was an open burn that got out of control, and one of the fire responders were injured in putting out the fire, and they were cited with a third-degree felony for the endangerment to a first responder.
That's the second law about first responder. That is a third-degree felony. This is a fourth-degree misdemeanor, and it depends on what level you take it to. But this is just this kind of behavior opposed to causing injury. The other problem is that we put a $500,000, $600,000 piece of equipment with 3 people in it, not running emergency, but we're still putting people out there that when they don't have to be because of not following the rules. And the other problem is that's why there's a burn ban at these times, because the land is dry, the humidity's low, and that could take off. And if you see the pictures I provided, there's nothing but fuel for miles there. And that butts up to the park, and there's nothing but fuel for that way. So one spark in October or November when it's this dry,
Or a good wind kicks
or
up
a
and
good
starts
wind,
blowing it.
you could have hundreds or thousands of acres burn into the park and change the landscape of Morgan Township. And that's, may say, oh, that's dramatization. It's not, because we've seen it. One spark, and how all these fires, the one's chief goes out west or wherever, it starts with a gender reveal party or a discarded cigarette. You're burning all these cattails on just fuel everywhere. And it was a dry day. And it could have gotten really bad really quick. And all we're trying to do is guard the public safety. And there's a home right next to it. There's wires over top of that where they were burning. That's somebody's property. That's either a telephone or electric. I mean, there's a lot of ramifications to just burning some cattails off that people don't think about. and we just try to educate them. But when you're met with this kind of them and, you know, this kind of aggressive behavior, you gotta do what you do to protect your crew, because the first thing we do is protect our crew. And what Lieutenant Galloway did was exactly right. She called for a sheriff. I'd have done it, anybody else would have done it.
Should we go ahead and red flag that one, so every time we go
I,
there?
yep, I have
Yeah.
it. I have that note.
Yep.
Yep.
We'll put that in to send deputy with.
Any questions for me?
No, thank you, Penny.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions about any other things he answered? I think I answered them all.
I think I'm good. You guys
But
good?
just
Think we
for,
need to get into the
And
color of the
actually,
trucks.
just to clarify that day, the 9th, we actually had 4 on duty that day because of COVID.
Yeah, I'll
So the
walk
4th person stayed back, was the
Yes.
other medic, Stephanie McMahon. She stayed back in case we had a medical call to bring the squad. The engine could peel off because a medical call is obviously more important than a legal burn. But 3 is the standard, you know,
Everywhere.
on an engine. And
throughout the
if-
tri-state.
if that had come out as an actual structure fire, then all 4 would have gone and we would have had a crew of 4. So.
And the other part with this is that we send 3 people up to take care of this, which is an illegal burn. If somebody has a medical emergency, we're going to delay their care because we're dealing with this because we only got one other person. You know, we're not at our station. We're not prepared to go. And that's another ramification that affects every person in the township. Okay.
Steve. All right, thank you. I believe, Chief, you're up.
Okay. I will start with the administrative report. As everybody has heard, COVID-19 is still going. Franklin County on Thursday became the first purple county. There's several that are right on that verge of going into purple. AC is going to talk a little bit more in depth about it, but we got some facts today, epidemiology report today, that Butler County is averaging about 250 new COVID cases a day right now. They had over 900 just this weekend alone, so it's here. I think Chief Griffith had talked to Tom. It's just to reiterate that the Ohio Department of Health Director clarified again and re-signed the order RC 3701, which is the 10-person or greater gathering is prohibited. And with that new order came in as a mask required in all retail businesses, and the sign must be posted. So again, those are there per that 3701.13.
And because of that, effective last Tuesday, we immediately suspended all reservations at the community center. Anybody that had it booked, I notified them and explained the situation, and so it is no longer being booked until further notice.
Great, thank you. And like I said, Chief will get in a little bit more in depth in that in a few minutes when we get into the fire report. Next, it took me forever, and I want to thank Rob for getting me a lift truck, a bucket truck that goes up to the top of a siren. So I finally have matched a bucket truck, lift truck, and a federal siren contractor to fix the tornado siren at California, Noki, and Drewsburg. So it does sound, but it does not rotate. So the issue's been that everybody that owns a bucket truck will not allow somebody that doesn't work for their company under legality to get into their bucket. So we worked the details out myself, thanks to getting to Rob with a local vendor that has a bucket truck that'll go up that high, that he would allow the repairman from this contractor to get up there and fix it. So they're supposed to be there today. Both Rob and I checked a couple times a day and they had not been there. So it's putting 2 people's schedule together, the contractor that fixes the sirens and the bucket truck to get them together. So I just said, send me the bill. Just you 2 make your appointment when you can make a time and come out there. So they were trying to get it done by this week, was what I was told. So that is because I know some people have called actually into dispatch, and I've been working on that for months, trying to get that legality worked out. Next, I talked to David Evans the end of last week about the 1858 building. He went and visited that building about 3 weeks ago, and he said, Chief, that building is tight enough that we can go until spring for painting. He looked at it thoroughly, He found his estimates for the quote, but he could not find the actual material list. So he said, I'm going to go down between now and the end of Thanksgiving and get an actual material list of what we need, paint, primers, things like that. But he says, I'm telling you right now, I looked at it about 3 weeks ago. I'm going through Okeana to a job south in Harrison, and I looked at it, and that building it won't be fine until spring, when he can get it back on his schedule, because he is done as of Wednesday, doing outside painting for the rest of this year. Still goes with the volunteering of all his labor and his services, and I said that we had a connection for the materials, if he would just get me a materials list, and he was all good with that.
Okay.
Great.
Well, we got time, but let me know and I'll
Yep.
get working on that.
Absolutely. I think that's all I have on the administration report, unless anybody has any questions for me on that side. On the fire side, we'll start. So phase 3 is moving forward. We'll get into a couple of things with that in a few minutes, but we have an electrician on our department who is on his duty days, is doing all the electrical work. So he did a material list for us today. So again, we're saving the labor on that because he wants to do it while he's on duty. So that's a great thing. Painting and flooring will begin on Monday on the first floor, and then flooring will begin the beginning of the week after up on the upstairs floor, as well as beginning the painting on that one. In your package, you have a copy. This will look like this with all those red markings and stuff on it. And this is the up-to-date insurance that we've been working on. So all but one employee has health insurance. So you'll see that there, and you'll see the 3 blues that have it. We're just waiting for them to come back on duty to sign their forms. So again, this allows us, as we discussed, the 2,200 hours for each one of these employees. Plus, we have 2 right now in polygraph. We have 1 firefighter EMT, and we have 1 firefighter paramedic that are in the. They've been through the interview process, and they're going to be. One was supposed to go for polygraph today, and there was some miscommunication, and the other one got his polygraph scheduled today. And he's a paramedic with full-time with Westchester, so he comes with some experience as a paramedic. So we got 2 more, plus these will do well with our schedule for 21. Any questions on that? No. Okay. Next is, you'll see 3 forms in there. At the top it says Morgan Township Fire Department with 11/23 date. So I was going through some documents for the folks on the incident management team, and the last forms that we had were signed by Daryl in 16. So since Daryl is no longer a trustee, I figured I would up the dates and also up the mileage on the one for the GSA rate, which would pertain to any fire departments, or if Rob was to get some kind of a snow blizzard emergency, was asked to go to another, in Kentucky or Indiana to do any snow plowing, we upped the current GSA rate on to what it is right now, 57 cents a mile. It was only 54. So I added these, I just updated the forms on this with Brett as the chairman, and just would ask that Brett just sign these, getting them up to speed dates. And Brett, I've got the official copy here with the color logo on it.
Okay.
Next is, and I believe, Jeff, you brought up last meeting again. And I saw in Rob's report, he's going to talk again. So last Sunday with the 35, 40 mile an hour winds, and the weather was quite interesting. We were out several times with power lines and trees and power lines and poles and road closures. I thought I would revisit the Nixle again, the Nixle proposal.
Can you switch it?
Oh, yeah, we need to switch that, sorry. The Nixle proposal, again, the township to do our own notification to our residents if they sign up. And we could have used it quite a bit last weekend for road closures, power outages, things of that nature. And Jeff is just going to...
disasters and man-made events, it is critical for public safety organizations to have a direct line of communication to keep residents informed and safe before, during, and after an event. It's the responsibility of the public safety agency to use the appropriate technology to enhance or replace legacy systems to keep residents informed both quickly and efficiently. Residents demand information on a broader range of topics utilizing the technology and devices they use daily. Unlike some emergency notification systems, Nixle extends beyond emergency management and supports a regular cadence of community outreach to engage residents and improve community relations, such as traffic advisories, event management, neighborhood watches, and arrest updates. Nixle possesses a unique feature to allow residents to easily opt in for information that is important to that individual. This allows the agency to get the right message to the right person in a manner in which they want to receive it. The Nixle solution helps your agency build a relationship with each resident in your community by becoming a source of accurate and relevant information. In the event of an emergency, residents will look to your agency as a provider of timely information and safety. However, today, most critical events are communicated to the public by way of news media coverage. Reporters tend to present issues with the biased goal of driving viewership. In some cases, officials look to navigate budget cuts by turning to free social media to communicate with residents during a crisis. This can be effective, but important information is often lost in the endless noise of pop culture posts. Your public safety agency's objective is to manage critical information carefully while keeping residents safe and informed during a crisis or important event. A child is abducted. Can you target information to the residents of that one community? Do you rely on Facebook and media to get the word out? Crime spikes in a neighborhood. Can your residents communicate with you to help? Can you send pictures of the suspects directly to their phones? A fire starts. Can the fire department message the immediate neighborhood? How can the fire department inform the specific relatives and friends about the status of the fire? In an active shooter situation, every second counts. Traditional media may be too slow and assumes residents are engaged on TV, radio, or social media. Are you enabling law enforcement to provide real-time info to residents in harm's way? Are you enabling them to deal with 21st century crises? Extreme weather. Do you have public notifications on safety, shelter, power outages, and supplies? During Hurricane Sandy, agencies were able to effectively communicate with residents as to food, shelter, and assistance. Nixle is the solution that allows your public safety agency to actively communicate and manage situations before, during, and after events, when information and crisis management is vital. Don't leave room for doubt. With over 8,000 public safety agencies using Nixle, we welcome the opportunity to help keep your residents informed and safe.
So that's the presentation. I think the first time we talked about potentially using it for CARES Act money, which we discovered we could not use it. But like I think I mentioned in that meeting, I signed up for it when I was in California, and basically you get on a text and you just text 888-777. You can switch it. And with that being said, you can pick and choose if you want text only, text and email, and anything like that, and then it can go to your Twitter account. Correct me if I'm right, Chief, but Twitter, Facebook, any of those social media accounts it goes to right away as well. So in the case of just taking last week, we had 2 road closures, we had power outages. We would have been able to push a message out quicker within our own people and within the township residents signing up for this to get these quick messages from us. EMA does have a bigger system called the communicator, but what they do is actually draw a circle around an area, and they have to then dial every phone in there. And if they don't have a home phone, then they only sign up for a cell phone, they may just get it sporadically on a cell phone. This one just sends it to the residents of the township who sign up on it via text and an email. And it is fast. I mean, the minute we type a message up on a laptop, a tablet, our phone, and hit send, it's just immediately blasts that out in this system. So
if somebody doesn't
way.
have a Twitter account or a Facebook account,
Never mind.
does it come in as a text?
Text.
yeah, it comes through them as a text. Yep, it comes through them as a text. So basically, the first year, because there's a $250 setup fee, but each year it's $3,500. And I think the message we got winter coming up with potential for, who knows, ice storms, blizzards, snow emergencies, things like that. Then we go into the next weather season, which is obviously tornadic and severe weather. That's not counting potentially lost child or something that happens over at Morgan Elementary. I think the residents of the township versus the cost of this to sign up for something direct, I think it really warrants taking a look at this as a cost-effective measure for us to actually notify the community specifically of these type of emergency incidents or whatever we have in the township directly.
So $3,750 would be our first year, our bill on that.
Every year after that's $3,500.
Now, so we use that also like when Rob's working on a certain road?
Yep.
You can push it out for anything you wish.
Yep.
So would Rob then access it like you would, Chief?
We
on
could
your-
teach him how to
He
do it,
could
or
do it,
he
he
can
could just
have
let
one
us
of us
know.
send it, or we can teach him how to do it. So say, Chapel Road between Alert New London and Cincinnati Brookville will be down to one lane today due to resurfacing or pavement. We could, anything like that.
Or culvert replacement. And 2 weeks ago, when I had to shut down California Road for 2 hours, it'd have been helpful to push that out to everybody.
What about if Dale's got a zoning meeting and we need to push out a public notification? Could we do it through that and avoid the newspaper? Or does it have to be a newspaper?
I don't know about your newspaper.
I don't think
I legally have to put a notice in
I
the
think it legally has to
newspaper.
be in
I
there.
legally have to put a notice.
But I think you could tell people, and it'd be very transparent of us to tell them that way.
Right, I
if they
could use
wanted.
any other media too, but I legally have to put
That's
it
looking
in.
at just trying to save that $100 or
I know,
$200.
I know, but I legally have to put it there.
All right.
So I had Chief today check, and it's 1 year from the date of the signature, of the signage of the contract, because I think Tom might have brought up in the last one, because we're coming to the end of a year, does it roll over and you start a year? And if I
It's not
remember.
calendar year.
No,
Yeah,
it's contract year.
It's a contract signing of the date for a year from the date of that contract, exactly.
Did
So
you budget?
do they help you when they set this up, that $250 setup?
Yeah.
Do they help you get the word out? What's the best way? I mean, obviously, they got 8,000 agencies. How'd they get it out? Do they do a mailing? Can we do a mailing?
We can do a mailing, we can put those, for the open house, we rented those black background signs with all the bright neon letters and put like 4 or 5 of those out throughout the township.
I could put it on Facebook. I usually hit 3,000 or 4,000 followers on a decent post. I think it would catch out, and people from Ross Township can get on it too. It doesn't limit to who you let on.
So it's not just Morgan
Right,
Township
we could
residents.
put it
it's-
on, we could put it on the next door neighborhood.
You can put it on
as
next
No, I
well.
meant subscribers. Do they have to be a Morgan Township resident? If they,
No.
if they drive through from Indiana,
Yep.
could they?
Yep.
Yeah, they
They
can
can-
sign up for it.
Whoever
Notify what
whoever
roads are
has an
closed?
interest.
Whoever has an interest in it can sign up for
'Cause
it.
I would think teachers would sign up for
School
road
closing.
closures and whatever, and I'm sure Ross would be interested for school buses and, that in route planning. I can see it being an asset for all those things. Franklin County uses it, the closest one over, they use it for extensive amounts of information,
And it's no cost to them.
no cost.
No cost to
And they
them.
can opt out at any time, they can opt out 2 ways, they can text basically stop to that number, or they can go online and do it if they're getting the emails, but they can discontinue if they don't want it.
But I think too, Tom, we could, just like do a small article in the Courier, the
Dennis Cornerstone?
the Cornerstone, and things like that, as well as the Facebook and websites. My other
if you
thought
follow
was
those.
is to make a flyer up, and when we're on a call at the end of the day, on a call, we could always, hand them out or something and things like that. So there's many ways and the other thing is, we're getting ready to do round 2 of a virtual video of kind of like how to do addresses on your house and how we can find your houses and all that better. We'll add that blurb in there about signing up for Nixle on that. Because that virtual open house just had tremendous response that we're going to do it. We're going to continue to do some more.
You know how
Could
many
we,
hits you
could
have?
we do a separate virtual,
Nixle?
just showing that video?
Oh,
Yeah.
With the,
yeah.
and then
Yeah.
put the information how
Yeah.
to subscribe?
Sure.
And we could also put it on the website too, if you want.
Right.
You put it there.
You could put that link
Because
on
I
there.
know your website, or your video that you did for the firehouse tour and that, been
Yep.
Oh, I'm
viewed
still
a
getting,
lot.
I'm still getting comments on
So,
that. Yeah,
look, if
that's
we
why
put-
we chose to do like addressing and the classes that we offer, the CPR, Stop the Bleed, all those classes. We're just going to continue to run those probably on a month or every other month basis because that one got so much viewing. So we'll probably do one on the burn ban when it comes again on spring.
You know what might be good too? Is videotaping some of your training.
Well, we're getting.
We're gonna get to
We're
that.
going to get to that.
We're going to get to that.
Thank you for the
So,
introduction.
Thank you for that introduction. So So yeah, it has a lot of different capabilities, but I think the main things is that, you know, we could have probably hit the neighborhoods around wholesale tire quicker than EMA got out there, and then put that bigger one out there. So and I think, you know, again, Rob, with road closures or things like that and road construction, it has a lot, and it's basically for the residents of the township that opt in, a little bit more personal. Here it is, information from the department and the township.
And
So,
you
but
can
if I-
monitor, you can monitor how many people you have opting in, so you know if you're kind of reaching your public or not. And if you need to dial it in or get more or expand it, you can also find that out. So it does have a suite of analytics that lets you know how you're doing.
But if I remember correctly, when you first brought this up, we're obligated to a 3-year contract,
3 years.
right?
3 year to get that
So
$3,500
We have to
price.
pay the $3,500, 3 years, so plus the $250.
Yeah.
The first year, yep. To
Is
keep
that
it
all up front, or is it the $3,500 for the 3 years?
each year.
Each year.
Each year.
So the
Each year.
$3,750 is the first year?
They would bill us each year.
Each
Okay.
year, there would be $3,750 this year
And
for just a
35.
1 year of a 3-year contract, yes.
Okay.
You want a motion tonight?
Well, with winter coming and all that, and the training that they've offered AC, if we move forward with it, if the trustees are good with this, I would ask for a motion tonight.
So is there any other, is it by jurisdiction, or how, if people outside of Morgan Township can opt into this,
Yes.
could we share it with another, like Ross?
Well, you would dilute the message then, because they would be
Yeah, 'cause then
sorting
you're-
through those messages. I don't think you're gonna get much from outside, to be honest, but,
Okay.
I mean, that's my initial blush on it, is,
I think because mostly what we're trying to achieve here is emergencies and incidents and actions like road closures specifically for Morgan
Morgan
Township. If somebody drives through, or like, you know, I'm all good with like the bus depot at Ross Schools, you know, opting in to see, hey, there's road closed in Morgan. Like, for a perfect example, Rob and I were up on North Wind the other day with a tree that took, what, 3 days to cut down?
3 days.
But the bus, that's a route, and they pick up right there at that house. So Rob called him and said, hey, you know, you're gonna have to pick up here and go all the way back around and then pick up on the next house. And so with that, we could have, you know, sent the Nixle message out, and everybody in that area would have known, hey, the bus, you know, the bus will continue to pick up on what they're aware of, the closure on North Wind.
and that's
Robinson
something
was
we'd probably get the
closed.
transportation
Yeah,
manager
the
and say,
wires
hey, this
down.
is our Nixle opt-in, so you have it. We'd probably call her, I think it's still her, and say, hey, we have this for you. And once again, this is, the other important part of this is this is a good tool, we'll use it. You know, it's only as good as how many people do input data, so, you know, we'll have apps on Chief's phone, my phone, Rob's phone, whatever, and they can sign it in and send it instantaneously while they're on the scene.
So who's the actual, is it Everbridge?
That's the parent company.
That's the
That's
parent
the
company.
parent company, and Nixle is their, that particular service.
Subsidiary.
All right, well, I'll make a motion that we go with Everbridge with their Nixle service. Will be a total of 3 years, $3,500 each year with, is it 280 or 250?
50.
Because you got 280 on the bottom.
Oh, it is 370 on the AC on the back page. It's 3780, so it must be 280.
It's
280, not
280.
250. That's my apology. Sorry.
So it'd be a total of $10,280 over 3 years. Now, do you want that broke down into individual year for PO or the total?
It has to be individual.
Yeah, so this won't
Has
be
to be
for-
what?
This will be for
Because total will
37.50.
be 10,000.
It has to be an individual year. I can't carry a PO over for 3 years.
So it'll just be 3750 or 80.
3780.
It'd be 3780.
I mean, you can improve the contract for 3 years, And it'll just go in like, you know, like the electric bill and the phone bill and all those POs at the beginning of the year that you will approve all together. But you can't do a PO for 3 years, one PO. I can't carry a PO that long.
Okay, so I'll make the first motion to approve Everbridge with the Nixle system for a 3-year contract, a total of $10,780.
Second.
Mr. Updike?
Yes?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion approved.
And then I'll make a motion for Everbridge for a PO for $37.80 for this year.
Second.
To pay for the first year installment and setup fee.
Second.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. We'll get that out. Chief was on the phone with them today, so we'll get that training going and get that system set up and then start doing the blasts.
Let me know when you get information on how to subscribe, and I'll
Okay.
get that on the website.
Okay, that'll work.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right, next is kind of deviating off here a second before we do these next two. If you see and Connie and I worked on this late this afternoon, that's not why it's in the agenda, but if you look and see there's a sheet that says CARES Act funding, just want to give you an update on that. So currently there's $203,806 in the CARES Act funding, Fund 2272. And so we estimate 3 more payrolls for the rest of the year at $75,000. Each payroll average is about $25,000 each, so $75,000 for the rest of the year with 3 more payrolls. We're going to have a discussion here in a few minutes about the virtual AV training room and emergency operations center next door for $75,000. Next is $8,000, so we bought some more PPE. We bought the road department a UV lantern for Rob to do the admin building, the community center, and some of the offices, do all the offices in here with a UV lantern. Comfort Control Solutions has given us a $3,500 bid to put the UV lanterns in all 4 of the HVAC systems in the station. So as the air is passing through the system, it'll be zapped as well with the UV lanterns inside of them. I also would like to discuss, and Rob, this came really late today, about putting those same UV lanterns in this building and in the community center building as well. Because obviously we'll have some more money, but it literally, Ken Ashcroft had told me that it literally, and we did CDC as well, that it kills 95.5, somewhere in there, of the spores, viruses, and any contaminants as the air is passing through the HVAC system with the UV lantern built into the
So does the lantern stay lit all the time on the HVAC system?
Yeah.
or-
Yep.
So what's the life expectancy of?
I'm not sure, but like the bulbs that, for the lanterns that we have are 9,000 hours. Each bulb.
But they've got, the cost of that was $3,500 for all 4 systems. That was the 2 new systems we put in and then retroing the 2 new systems that went on the addition for 4 systems, which I thought was pretty reasonable to say we probably should get a price for this building and then for the community center building while we're still in CARES Act money will cover that. So that's that $8,000 that we had projected in there as well. That leaves $45,806 left of CARES Act money that still has to be used by the end of the year. We had a discussion this afternoon to buy a 3rd Lucas to put on the battalion and move it between the battalion and the engine, so when there's 3, it would go on the battalion. When there's 4, it and the medical and the ALS gear would move over to the engine. That still leaves $29,806 of CARES Act money, and again, great job by Connie. She's got this down to like the cent, the pennies, on where we're spending and what we're using this money for. And at the end of the year, Connie did an incredible job managing our CARES Act money. I just have to put that out there.
So do we have to take, just to clarify, do we have to take delivery?
Yes.
We
So
have to
will-
take
would-
delivery.
You have to take delivery, and it has to be paid. by
by
December
December
30th.
30th.
Yes.
So
And-
would Control Comfort be able to give us an estimate and do the work? I mean,
He's
it's-
supposed to be at the station tomorrow. I'm gonna find that out.
Okay.
So,
And on the hours, there's 8,760 hours in a year.
So
So you got a little, about
About a year.
13 months
I would imagine it'd be the same as for those lanterns. I can't, because it's the same technology.
with continuous use.
the only thing that I would
If you get
question,
9,000.
and what I will ask Ken is that when the system is off, when it's not running, I don't think it'd be on because there's no air passing through it. It might come on when the thermostat cycles on.
Yeah, there's some kind of connection there. He
There'd be
told
some
me he
kind
had
of
to
connection
do.
when the thermostat kicks
when the
on, then
blower-
it turns itself on and while the
So
air's
is this
passing through.
a light, UV light that he's supplying, or is it one that you're
No,
buying?
he-
and
No, he's
putting it
supplying
in?
the whole
They-
pack.
okay.
He's supplying it
So,
and
yeah,
installing
see
it.
if it does cycle on and off with the.
Because they've used these in hospitals for years. That's not something new. Their
Nope.
technology's
Yep.
fairly, he said the price has gone up some since COVID. He said they were cheaper before, but who's surprised by
Probably because
that?
they're harder to get.
Yep.
Supply and
Yep.
demand.
Supply and demand.
Yeah, but he actually is purchasing him and supplying him as part of this bid, installing him and everything into the systems.
Okay.
That's why I thought for that price for 4 units, we should really, tomorrow when he comes to the station, get a quote for this and then the community center as well. So one of the things that we looked at, and AC is going to talk really heavy here about the virtual training we're going to. By the way, I got a directive today that the state of Ohio is taking all of their government offices and all the training is now going virtual through July 1st of next year. So there'll be no in-house classes through Ohio EMA, through the Fire Academy, nothing. Ohio EMS, nothing will be classroom until at least next July 1st of 2021. So we're looking at, with building this training room and the Emergency Operations Center there, the virtual technology, and again, I'm going to have AC talk about it, is one of the things that we looked at for this hands-off training that we can do in-house and then zoom it out to all our people with the technology we're building is this SimMan, which is there's not too many of them around in the area. We used one a couple of years ago that was from Miami Valley Hospital came down, and it had seen its better days. It had had so much use on it, but we were looking at this SimMan, which does everything on the back is what it does. It literally breathes, blinks at you, grunts, everything like that. We're reaching out to see if we can even get one. Tom, you brought the good point up about if we could even get one because they come from Europe. So we know there's distributors in the U.S., but if we can even get one by the end of the year. But this is probably the most realistic training without having a real patient on a call that we can provide our people and then do that virtual training. Right now we're trying to do a airway class with our new auto vents, and the hospitals won't send the certified people to train to the station to do it. So we did it ourselves, and then we could have zoomed that out when we had the technology over in the room. So this is right about 19,000. So like I said, we still have that 29,800, and we're looking at some other avenues that we can use this that will benefit the department. Because at the end of the day, I just want to make this, and Connie can back me up on this, at the end of the day, if we don't use it, it goes back to the county. The county can determine if they want to use it by a certain time before, it has to go back to the state and the treasury. So we're trying to use the money and put it the best use to the township and the residents that we can by using this COVID money that was presented to us. So again, this is the SimMan. We don't have any of the delivery dates on it. We just talked about this late this afternoon.
I should
Connie
I
ran the
should find
numbers.
out by tomorrow if it's able to be delivered by December 30th.
But currently, because we haven't even done, we've talked to the physio control people today and Stryker about the Lucas. Technically, we have, without the PO for the AV yet, but it has been encumbered. We literally have 45,800 still in COVID till the end of the year that's been encumbered. We're just trying to use it to the best of our abilities and the best thing for the township residents.
So has there been any more discussion on extending that December 30th date onto 2021?
Nope.
Because-
I got a thing
No.
yesterday. Well, today's Monday, so I got a thing today from OTA or not OTA, but OBM, Office of Budget Management, with a graph and all. It says you have to order it and order it, and it has to be delivered by December 30th, and then it shows the progress. By February, it goes back to the state. If it's not used in its certain cycles, it's going back to the state. On February, was it 1st? Sometime in February it was going back.
Yeah.
And I did not grab that today to have that sequence, but it's going back.
Are we gonna be able to get all the bunker gear, second set of bunker gear?
No.
Nope.
Bunker gear did not happen
Did not-
because
did not.
they were 180 days out, and that's if the plant was even gonna stay open, but it shuts down almost on a monthly basis because of COVID, and they gotta shut the plant down, so the second set of gear is out. We could not produce that by the end of the year.
And just so you know, we will be sending a small amount of money back for sure, because the interest from the bank won't post until December 31st. I had Assistant Chief Griffith find out for me if, we would have to send that money back, and the answer was yes. I can't encumber it if I don't have it. I can't pay it out if I don't have it. So we will have to refund or return probably less than $3, but that's their rule.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
So, on the sim man. Are you wanting approval if you can get it by the end of the year now? Instead of waiting till the
Well,
next
there's
meeting?
3 weeks between the next meeting, so I would appreciate it, and I think Chief would too.
Yep, if
get
we
it.
could. Connie so at last meeting, you encumbered the rest of all of the COVID money. It's just that we would bring to the trustees what we would be using the encumbered money for, and this would be one of those if we could get a delivery by the 30th of December.
Yeah, the remaining money is encumbered either in payroll or in a blanket certificate for operating supplies. So we can't do purchase orders at this point. We're just asking you to approve the payments, and then I'll take it out of the blanket certificate. That was the only way to do it and encumber the money by Friday. I had a report that I had to return to the Butler County Auditor's Office by Friday the 20th. And if you didn't have all your money encumbered, you were expected to take them a check that day so that they could return it to the state. And then the state is going to redistribute whatever money they got back. And that money will still have to be used by December 30th.
Yeah,
So-
it's quite challenging, and again, we have done a lot of due diligence because there's a lot of conflicting information out there from OTA. But really, if you go directly to the Ohio Office of Budget Management, they have everything down because they're the ones controlling this. And Chief Griffith and Connie have pretty much gone to them with all the yes and the no answers for any of this stuff. That I feel that Morgan Township is spot on with the guidance that we've been given and have, and what we're talking to the trustees about. That I have probably 3 or 4 chiefs a week call me asking me questions about, can we do this, can we do that now?
So we'll need an approval to a certain amount?
I would ask for 20,000. I think it's 19,500 is, I think, is the price of it. There might be some shipping. I don't.
All right, so I will make a motion. Is it to lateral?
No, it'll actually be to more medical.
More medical? For a sim man to give the approval for $20,000 to buy the sim man if they can receive it by the COVID deadline to go forward with it. That's my motion.
Second.
Mr. Updike?
Yes?
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
It's Boundary Medical now. Moore changed their name, so if you'd amend that to
So-
Boundary.
Correct that to Boundary Medical, not more. Thank you.
Okay.
So do we need one for the 3rd Lucas also?
Yes.
Is that the same boundary?
Yeah, no, that is to Stryker.
Stryker.
Yeah, and that one is
Do you
available.
think we'll get that
And
much?
No,
that is
I-
available.
I spoke to the rep, this is the last week.
What are you
Any
gonna
more
do?
ordered after this week will not get.
All right, I'll make a motion
Brett.
for $16,000 for a third Lucas for the Battalion 140, swap between that and engine 141 with Stryker.
Stryker Medical, yes.
16,000 even, or is that include?
That's it, because the extended warranty, we cannot use CARES money for,
So
because it goes out.
$16,000.
Second?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Motion approved.
So that will leave somewhere around 9,800 left. And I think we're looking at some more avenues, but by the time with this getting so tight, that may be what we turn back is somewhere in that area. But I think when we start off and total it up of 300 and something thousand between 6.5 payrolls, we did 6 full payrolls and 4 half payrolls. We actually have done well with 2291, our EMS levy for salaries. We've done very well by holding that in check while we paid all our salaries out of the CARES Act money.
But that 9,800, approximately 9,800 could be spent for UV lights for this building and the
Yes.
community center.
Yep, yep.
And to be honest, I could spend the rest on PPE very
Yeah.
easily. It wouldn't be a problem.
But tomorrow I'll get the quote from Controlled Comfort on this building and all that, and see where they are, and see if they can deliver it and install it by the 30th to see where that 9,000 comes in at, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And I've already had a conversation with Ken and said, you have to bill me so that I can pay you by the 28th of December. And, because he sometimes forgets to bill things. And he said, no problem. He said, I understand. I'll make sure I get it to you. I said, okay.
You want the motion to go ahead and get the lights too?
Well,
Next meeting's 3 weeks.
Yeah, probably, yes.
Next meeting's 3 weeks. so
But if
probably-
we do that and it doesn't go through, can he still spend that money for PPE?
Yeah, just put it in the motion that, we approve the payment for 2 UV lanterns for
So
community
up to
center
that
and
amount?
here.
'Cause we don't know.
You don't need it, we wouldn't need to do it a specific amount, on the condition that the vendor can provide them, install them before the COVID deadline.
Okay, I'll make a motion for a PO to.
No,
control-
just
no,
a payment. I
a
can't do
payment to Control Comfort if they can provide the equipment and installation prior to the deadline of December 30th for the installation of UV light in the HVAC ductwork or in the admin building in the community center.
Second.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. This is already in the COVID money and already taken out of that money that I just went through. But number 5 was we just need to approve the payment. You've already signed the half of the check, but Connie needs just an approvement of payment. The Hillsmeyer Humongous Bills Flooring out of Fund 2272, which is the CARES Act, for $7,857.18 for replacement of the carpet to hard surface flooring on the first and second floor of Station 141. That has already been pulled out of this.
So
and
moved.
it's no more, it's already out of this money already.
Second.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion approved.
All right, I'm going to let AC talk about the next one because this has really been his baby. I will tell you that I asked him to see if we could make this happen with CARES money and the virtual training that we're trying to build, and then also designating this as also a Township Emergency Operations Center / EOC, which would allow me to then get additional federal funding because it's designated through the state and the feds as a EOC, a Township Emergency Operations Center, which Monroe has one, Westchester has one. Most of the entities have a small one on site. But this will open up more funding mechanisms for us as well, not just fire grants, but emergency management grants. So that's why we have this 2 designation. So when he explains the technology and what this all can do, that was my
So
thinking.
when would that be used? Give me a situation. where that-
Sure. So if we had let's say we had one of the pipelines exploded. We just had a pipeline exploded. if we were, the county EOC would be open, but we would most likely open ours up as well and manage some of the more local level stuff with it, the evacuations of the area,
Would it have been used in wholesale tire, possibly?
we could have, and I think actually,
We did open this up.
we opened this up for shelter. So we could have put a couple of folks in here and opened that up to correspond, because all the EMA folks were at the scene. Nobody went to the county EOC, they were at the scene. So we could open this up, and Brett did come down here and open this up because we thought we were gonna have to push some residents on Alert New London into some shelter because we were making them leave.
And I think also a train accident, God forbid, of that train that runs phosphorus up and down.
You could have numerous things. You could have a tornado out here.
Right.
You could have a tornado that hit
A tanker truck?
Tanker
The
truck.
flooding, remember 2
Flooding.
springs ago when we had all the flooding, when the creeks came up and ran across Alert New London and Race Lane and all that. So we could do it at more of a local level and manage some of the stuff at our level. And the incident may be countywide, and the tornado may have gone through Morgan and went all the way up through the rest of the county. We could have ours open. It would be more specific for the township, as the county EOC is managing the overall county. With that being said, we still by law have to go, all our requests and orders still have to go to the county EOC that then goes to the state EOC. We can't bypass the county EOC. We would just have something more locally and more of a jurisdiction. The other thing is when Chief talks about the technology, we can monitor so much more stuff here, and we can get into the web EOC and into the state system now and their computer system to see what all's happening in the state and where the resources are being depleted if there is a statewide emergency. The derecho, remember 2012, the derecho, when the county had, I think, 85,000 people out of power for like 5-6 days. We could monitor the state's web EOC pages to see the critical needs and where the resources are from over there on one of the monitors, where now we just have to do it on a computer screen. So we could move in there and just monitor a lot of the pulse of, and if there's something that's happening in Cincinnati, we could also open up and see if it's going to, materialize into the township. So
Would this be a new structure, or would this be a revamping of an existing structure?
no, it's the training room. It's a current training room.
Okay,
Over
so
there.
it would be an
We're going to
enhanced-
designate it as a training room / emergency operations center.
But the 75,000 would put the equipment into that room,
Yes,
and that would
yes, and
qualify you.
that's what Chief's going to talk about. But it's technology now that would qualify us for us to be designated as that. We would just register ourselves with the state of Ohio EMA as we're now a township emergency operations center designee. And what it technically comes in as is a political subdivision is how the ORC 5502 reads it. And Rhett's well aware of that as an EMA board member. So we would just be a political subdivision to the county.
So again, it sounds good, but 75,000, will we be able to spend it by December 30th?
So, you want me to go ahead and get my spiel?
Go ahead,
Okay.
yeah.
So,
That's what worries
Okay.
me. And then the other thing is
get to that.
this equipment, could it be possibly prorated if we got audited, like we talked about the vehicle? That, okay, COVID's over, and this stuff has a 5-year life expectancy, we still got 4 years, Morgan Township could be potentially liable for
So
repaying that.
if anything, and I'll let Chief talk about the specifics of this, if anything, every bit of guidance that we've seen has
virtual.
as virtual training is like the #1 thing CARES Act money can be used for.
It's
But it
well
doesn't
in
have
the
a
safe zone.
cutoff when
No, it
It's
does not.
done, it's
As long
done.
as we put all that stuff in that building, in that training room by December 30th and have it all paid and installed and all that,
It's
it's
there.
totally under all the CARES Act guidance.
All right, go
Yep.
with your spiel.
so
Which
Chief-
is number 6 line item on your
Chief-
agenda.
Chief gave me the charge to design something that can be used for virtual education, both in and out. Using, for us, there's different rooms, and we use Zoom, so this is a Zoom room technology. So what it basically is, it's not unlike this. There's no projectors anymore. It's using the click, the same technology that you all use here when we share up on that. So there's none of that. So what it gives us is 3 75-inch TVs. The real value out of the one TV is an interactive TV like the old smart board, but better. So if I take a PDF document from my email and put it up there, or a FEMA form or whatever it is, or a training form or a picture, you can actually use the markers and mark it up and send it back in email edited. on the TV. So it's like a smart technology TV. The major expense of this is the piece of technology that lets you put up 3 different pictures and decide what you want. It's like an AV switch. So if you wanted the news on this one, you wanted the EOC on that one, and you wanted the weather on that one, you have that ability. Or if you're giving a class, you want, the film on this one, what you're writing on the board for the class to learn on this one, and they call that a confidence monitor at that point, so they can look and see if they're getting it done. So that technology is very expensive. Also, we did it so something called AV over IP, which uses Cat6 cabling to do it, and that allows it to be infinitely scalable. So if you want to add something or keep adding on, there's not as much expense because the infrastructure is already there. So we planned it for the future for 20, 30 years. AV over IP is the way to go. It's a little more money up front, but you never have to fix anything later because you can scale it, you keep scaling it. Also, part of it is so we're getting a new EHR that you all approved, our new safety pad replacement. Part of that is the company's not sending any reps out to the field, so how do I get them educated? We're gonna do it from Austin, where they're at. They're gonna remote into me, and I can hold trainings. Also, if there's a crew here and I need to train them, or I can come to Zoom into them, or they can Zoom to me. So it's infinitely, we can go either way with that. We tested today, we interviewed a candidate using Zoom just to see if it worked. It worked real well. He had a new baby, he had to go to a doctor's appointment. We just set up a Zoom session, and we were from all different places and interviewed the candidate. So this room will let us do any kind of virtual education. We get the sim man, you add that to it, so then we want to give a class and COVID gets bad or doesn't get bad or whatever, they can Zoom in, and Penny could give the class, I could give the class, you could have the simulator there, and you could put the camera, because part of this are 2 laser-guided cameras. So there's a camera in front and a camera in back. And if you put a little pendant on, the camera follows you. So that technology, or if the speaker's speaking and you want to give it out, they can do that. Like Chief said, with the ventilators, Fort Hamilton, due to COVID, stopped that. If we had this room, I could get a Zoom invitation to that nurse. She could Zoom into that place, and we could have the class virtually. And that's the real idea of this for COVID. Why it makes it COVID rich is that you can do those things without everybody getting in the same room. Other things I planned out is, besides that, it's not unlike this. The microphones are in the ceiling. You don't have them hanging down anymore, and also the speakers, which just makes it look cleaner. And then we'll also have the ability for whiteboard technology to present data to. So it's completely interactive on either end. It also has Chief had one at the old EOC where if you wanted to switch this TV, you had to go in and make the switch. It was digital. Well, this is not anymore. There'll be a control board on the wall that allows you to switch the TVs around. Also, the vendor I've chosen has an app you can put on your phone, and if somebody's speaking, you can switch the TVs however you wish.
Is that something we could do with this?
It's really nice.
I was really thinking that.
Yeah.
And the other advantage of it is also going to have technology to let the weather radar, the cameras all integrated also. Now to do that, you're going to have to add 2 computers because the room needs a computer, and we got to upgrade another computer. And all the bids I got, that was an extra from Oxford Computer, because all the vendors wanted nothing to do with getting computers. They're like, you provide them. So there's another expense on this you'll see that would be across any vendor we chose. Also, to make this an EOC, I designed out putting network drops on the walls for voice over internet protocol phones and more power, which is going to be done in-house mostly. The only thing that the contractor will do, I've chosen, is run the cables. We'll have the boxes there for them, so there's savings there. All the TVs will also have network capabilities, and we also have a redundant HDMI, so if everything fails on Wi-Fi, which it never does, internet fails, but Wi-Fi is stable. It's just your interior Wi-Fi. There's HDMIs. If everything went, we could still present data on the TVs.
You did fix this so we can hook that box up if we need to.
I was
if
just going to say
everything goes
that. We just put the plumb case into
Yep.
the room, and we're totally up on internet.
You're totally up.
Totally up on internet itself.
I've added a bunch of duplexes on the wall by our in-house electrician, and I've added a bunch of network drops on that wall. So if you think of that room, and these are against the wall, if you were going to use this in EOC, you've got plenty of network drops to add extra phones, network connection, if Wi-Fi or whatever you need, there's enough ability to do that. I'm adding 8 network drops and 4 duplexes. And they're all into the generator now with the new generator, so there's never a worry about what you have to think, which ones you have to do or anything to that effect. So that was kind of the vision. So then I went and got 3 bids, because we like 3 bids here. And when I talk to all these companies, they're all busy providing these to other entities right now. They've been doing it since COVID money became available. I went to 2 of the larger ones, which is American Sound, which is the one, but you don't have those bids because I have them here, and I went to another one. Then I also went to Oxford Computer Solutions. There's a little bit of trickiness to this AV thing, is that you can't get the technology unless you have certain training. So Oxford Computer Solutions went out and found a subcontractor to do that part for them. So I bid it out, and the bid that came back the best and most and least expensive was Oxford Computer Solutions for $71,957.08. There's another $3,195.56 that would be any vendor I chose, because that's for the computers and the extra network drops that I'm making to make for the EOC. But it's still within the CARES money because you could use it for training the same way. The next lowest bid that I received, and it was an incomplete bid because they didn't listen to me and they didn't include it all, even though I had 2 back and forths, was almost $3,000 more, and the third bid was $84,000. But they provide for the Bengals, so I guess they didn't need the business. So it's my recommendation to award this to Oxford Computer Solutions for, I guess, if you want to add it together, Connie.
We upped it 1,000 to 76.
Yeah, so I would like $76,000 for a little bit of overrun, because there may be things that come up, to go ahead and get this. I've spoken to Chris, and he assures me he's spoken to his subcontractor that this can be delivered and completed by December 30th. He's aware that
this is the COVID money, correct?
this is all
Yep.
COVID money.
If you go back to that CARES Act funding, you see where I kind of took it out. So it was taken out where we still have that 45,000 and all the way down. That was already in that projection. So
And I've spoken to all the vendors and made sure that all this was available, and they all have told me they were, and I spoke to Chris today, and he told me it was also.
Well, you're saying 76, you had 75.
Yeah, but
well, the number,
the
this
bid
came
in late
late.
today, a little bit above.
Little bit above.
Okay, I'm
So
just
it's
making
1,000,
sure we're not
yeah.
going over on the others. But
I would like
Yep.
76,000 just in case there's an overage here or there. I think it's the most complete bid, and it's the correct bid. And the other advantage of it is Oxford Computer Solutions knows our system, and I don't have to worry about marrying it in with, it's more, it works better when your in-house contractor, and they clearly won, but it's better, it's also a better bid because their ability to know our system already. We're not relearning this tech, what we're doing.
okay,
Any questions? It'll look a lot like this, but just, it'd be very clean. It's just, it's behind the scenes. You're paying for technology, and behind the walls. When you walk in, you'll see 3 TVs, say this is $76,000, but it's the logic and the programming behind the technology that costs. The unit alone for AV is almost $51,000 just for that AV switcher.
So just to do one theory here, scenario, we take the sim man, we have it in the room, we do the virtual training on that, and we film, and we actually send it live the way this room is set up to all our employees that are at home on their computers and all that, watching it without having coming into that room and put their hands on it. They would see the training, whether it's the sim man or fire or whatever, from that room would be pushed out through that room virtually to all our employees out in the field, on their laptops, computers, tablets, phones, whatever they have on the Zoom format. And that's where this turns into virtual, so people don't come in and sit in a room with 50 people shoved in a room spreading COVID. And that's where this totally comes in. So, and I just thought of another scenario, which I just texted Rob a minute ago. Not only is this for the fire department, but Rob just informed me he's got a bunch of trainings coming up for road department that are virtual, that the road department come over there and watch the same, do their whole interaction, talk and interact with the road department on training that the road department gets from ODOT or whoever they get. So it's that virtual training that, like I said, is like one of the #1 things in the guidance that it's allowable.
And this
Yeah,
does have an audio
'cause like
visual.
Sorry, Jeff.
I'm
but
sorry.
With our stuff is, I've got no way to show it to guys except for my computer, so they gotta stand around me so we can do some of these virtual trainings that ODOT is putting out through the laptop program. They're doing the same as what the EMA is doing. All state agencies are doing that all the training is being done virtually. They're not, like, for example, they have a load securement class. That's all gonna be done virtually now, so.
And this also has the ability to record like yours on SD cards. So we could also go back to that. You could record the new Nixle or whatever right there and send it and record it and put it to, it also has the ability to do web presentations like you have also. So it's a lot of the technology, it's just newer.
Do the other township fire departments have this capability?
No.
No.
This will be cutting edge for Morgan Township on both ends of an EOC. And the other thing when you think about EOC, if something happens to the main EOC in Hamilton, God forbid, whatever that might be, because it is, I mean, I'm not thinking out loud. Chief, tell me if I'm wrong. It's a target. It's got dispatch there. I mean, that's where the EOC is where dispatch is. Something happens to there, this is a fallback, and it'll be suited to handle that kind of, technology. And you don't want to think that way, but this is our job.
We could actually approach Butler County EMA as we could be designated as a backup if that went down or went out.
Because we have a big generator
for the
now.
county.
It seems like that would be in their financial interest to have a backup.
They're required by state law. It used to be Hanover, but I don't know where it is now since I've been out of EMA for 5 years. But they're required to have, by the ORC, they're required to have a backup EOC designated.
So if that now defaults to us.
We could go in there and make the pitch that says, here's a perfect backup one right here, totally away from, if you have both us and that one involved in a path of a tornado or something, that's a big tornado. But if there's something that goes down there and the power outages or whatever there where they can't function, we're pretty much far enough apart that we're still tied into the county. We'll be tied into the state that we could make this a designated backup for the county. And I will let one of the EMA board members approach that at their next meeting for sure. But we'd like that designation.
Well, does that have any financial benefit to our township to be that primary backup, Ben? That's kind of
That'd
what
be
I hear you
something for
saying.
the board. That'd be something for the board and all that to address the EMA board.
Okay.
But it does
Yep.
make us more eligible for grants and things like
It
that.
does already without being the backup. Yes, yes.
Being able to do the training and the different things and the training that you can do in-house, then if you have registered trainers, which I'm sure we have at least
Absolutely.
We
3
do.
or 4 that
We
I
have
know of,
we have EMS fire instructors and we have CE.
that opens more grants up
Yeah.
to get stuff to do that.
I mean, this is a cutting edge room that has been spec'd out with the future.
And that
Um,
would,
This is
help
not going to be. This is not going to go out of. It's not going to legacy for many years. Talking to all of them, the thing is there's only a couple vendors that make this. It's really who has a little cheaper labor rate and who's going to get a better deal on Cat 6 cable. I mean, there's over 600 feet of Cat 6 cable involved in this little project. 650 feet to be exact. But by doing that, we can expand it on the fly. It's scalable to anything we want to do anytime, opposed to having to redo the work behind the walls. This is one and done. It costs a little more up front, but on the back end, we don't ever have to touch it again. With Cat 6, it won't be necessary. And it's all going to fit nicely in our IT closet. That space is spec'd out. There's a path there. We thought that out. So there's room to do all that in the rack there, and we have enough openings to just, you'll never see it. But you'll walk in and see 3 monitors and you'll say, this is it. But it's the logic and the technology behind it.
well, the other one that will like it real well, and I can't think of the name of it right now, but that gives us our number, 4, 5 rating, our
ISO?
our ISO. That will help that tremendously.
Yeah, COVID delayed that. We were supposed to get our rating back in October, but I'm sure COVID has put that really on a back
Did
burner.
they come out already?
No.
Nope.
Because
We're
he
still
said when
waiting.
he left, it would be September, October, and we
September,
haven't heard a
October.
word.
We haven't heard a word from ISO.
So that's the charge, and I think this room checks all those boxes, and it'll be a great asset for the community and for our fire department to educate in this time of unknown COVID. I don't know when this ends.
And once again, if we don't spend it, we lose it.
We lose it.
Yep.
And this is clearly virtual education. Every place in the world is doing virtual, nursing schools, paramedics, everything is virtual right now.
So I'll make a motion to Oxford Computer Solutions for $76,000 for the virtual AV training room, emergency operations center, training room at the fire station.
Second?
Wait, Brett, could you add on to that motion that the vendor understands that the work has to be completed and billed and paid by December 30th?
So moved, as you said on mine.
And I have spoken to them, and they assure me that will happen. All three of them were told that. Don't even come and give me a bid unless you can tell me that. Now, they told me they would, so you got to take them at face value.
You still good with that on?
That's a second, too.
Okay.
All right,
Mr. Updike?
yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Brooker?
Abstain.
Motion approved.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. That's going to be a tremendous asset. That's going to put Morgan Township, I think, really on the map for advanced technology. Before I let Chief just give a final overview of COVID, I just want to mention how this township kind of works as a team effort. Last Sunday, we had obviously the wind event, and Rob and Steve came out and assisted the fire department with blocking, first of all, Robinson Road for a couple hours until we could get some barricades there, and then later that evening helped block and bring barricades to North Wind Road. They're helping us right now save some cost and labor by helping us tear the carpet out of the building, out of the Station 141 by doing that. And finally, so it's a team effort, so we really work together as a team, and I don't think that the township could function if we weren't working as a team. Second of all, Rob, we just got Engine 142 back from Blust, and Rob did a great job working with Blust directly, so we saved $2,452 fixing the engine down at Blust from the first two quotes that we got, and we had it back in 5 days, I think. We also saved a $750 tow bill because Rob and the boys limped it down there, putting antifreeze in it every few miles to get it down there and save the towing bill. So again,
Thanks,
this
guys.
works. This whole township, the road department, Connie, the zoning, everybody works really together as a team. And when we you may not see this, but we are really, when we do a lot of these things, we are saving the township money and being very aware of the township and the taxpayers' money by doing these kind of projects and stuff like this. So again, Rob and the road department, thanks for everything you guys did the last week and a half for us. So that's all I've got. Chief, fire away on the update on COVID.
So as you know, COVID continues, as the governor said, to be on fire. There are so many, they can't even get an accurate number because the labs are so backed up with tests that there's a 2-day delay in the numbers now because the COVID rate is just increasing exponentially. There was 8,800 verified yesterday, and that they still had a backlog of cases to work. Hospital admissions are going up. They're right now in this zone, they're at 80% of every med-surg bed in this area has got a patient in it right now. When they get to 90%, they don't know, they're unsure what they're going to do. They may open that thing called the Duke Center up, but they're trying not to. The hospitals are doing something called load-bearing balancing. So it used to be a patient stayed in that system, but now Tri-Health may send some to Mercy, and Mercy may send some to use. They're trying to manage it on regionally other than just by hospital system. Like Chief said, 250, and 900 in Butler County. The EMA, which has been a great partner of ours, has opened the cash back up for first responders and nursing homes to get PPE from what they get. They're getting new federal drops. I think one came today. They are not going to open up the EOC. They're going to manage it locally. They've got a great plan where they've only got 2 people in the EOC, in the EMA at a time, and 2 at home, and they're rotating them back and forth to decrease exposure to PPE at the fairgrounds. They're going to distribute it as they can, but they're not going to get the IMT involved right now just because they don't want that kind of numbers. So it's a strong case that we've got supplies coming. We don't know what they are because they haven't been cataloged yet. Supplies remain fairly able to get if you're willing to pay for it. And we'll be paying for it out of CARES money. I haven't paid for anything in this whole time that hasn't been CARES related for all the mask, gowns, and everything. I was on a chief's call Friday with one of the area hospitals, and they said the issue is people are coming in for a broken toe or a broken foot and getting a COVID test because they had to have surgery and they're popping positive. So I changed the response guidelines now back to the old universal precautions, so we're acting like everybody has COVID. That way, if they pop positive, we're not going to have to take them out and put them in quarantine because they have the right PPE on. So we've goggled everybody, we've masked everybody, which should be anyway. And then if they do any advanced airway, they're going to have the N95, the gown. So if they come back that we're covered, and they don't have to send them to 14 days quarantine. So we made that change last week. And we keep offering them goggles, glasses, whatever they want. We've been buying. Everybody's kind of got their own eye protection, and we're just buying it. We've been still responding to COVID runs here, and some we don't know, but the numbers are increasing for us as well. Unless you have other real questions, it continues to rock it up. And the other thing is contact tracing is so far behind that I was on a chief's call with chief, and no one's getting notified in any timely. And it's not a criticism of the health department. They're just overwhelmed with the number of cases. They've assigned one worker just to the EMS and first responder community to let us know when they have them, but she's overwhelmed. They have one person, and you can imagine the amount of, 250 a day. They have to contact trace that out, do the math. It takes forever. So if everybody's suited up, we're good. So that's how we're rolling it. We continue to decontaminate with our UV lights, and we're doing the bunks every day now. And knock on wood, hopefully we're keeping this away from us. So we'll see where it goes.
You see that pretty much uniform across other departments? Because we got people that work other departments, then come here. Are they getting the same kind of level of PPE and that?
Yeah, everybody's kind of got their own. Some go further. Some, CDC guidelines that we follow. And with a mask. So you get the quarantine. If you go to a house and somebody doesn't have a mask on, but you have a mask and not eye protection, and they pop positive, 14 days. Because they didn't have a mask on and you didn't have eye protection. So that's the thing. So if you just cover everybody up, but some places are going less, they couldn't go more unless you wear a gown in every run. But that's a waste of PPE because you don't need that unless they're known positive and you do advanced airway. So we try to do what's best to protect our people in the community, but everybody's positive. It's just their asymptomatic positives are everywhere. They can't even keep up with them.
The other thing that we've had is numerous departments that folks work for us part-time that work at their places full-time have called us and said, hey, can you give us a description, how much it is, and where can we order those UV lanterns?
Yeah,
because they don't have them, or there's one department that made some homemade remedy that's just not working. So we know that we have the most detailed decontamination system, I think, in place in the county right now by every day, the bedrooms, every room, the trucks. And as Chief said, we have not had one person from our department that has tested positive from a call we've been on.
And we've kept them out of quarantine. And the other part is if they, instead of quarantine, they are designated critical infrastructure workers. So if they're asymptomatic and instead of quarantine, you can give them a mask and they can come back to work. That's a CDC guideline for critical infrastructure workers, which police and fire obviously are. But we don't even need to do that yet. But our real fear is somebody, and they come in here. And it's going to happen. It's not if, it's when. But, we hope to hold it off as long as we can. So, unless you have other questions, wash your hands, wear a mask. And December, I was on a call. The real tipping point of this is projected to be December 15th, because that's when all these holiday Thanksgiving gatherings are going to show in the numbers. So
the curfew is only in effect till the 10th right now?
He could increase it.
Okay.
I mean, it's not slowing it down. 8,800 cases yesterday. It's on fire. I mean, it's
going up and
it's-
up every day.
Like I said, they can't even keep the test. They don't even know. It's probably more than 8,800, but they can't process the test. They've got every machine in the state processing tests 24/7, and they still can't.
Yeah, but you wouldn't expect it to go down that quickly since Thursday when it went into,
Right. Well, you'd hope there'd be just a little downward trend, but it's just, I mean, it may work. I don't know.
Going
But,
up.
yeah, it's going up. But the curfew's out there. There's a lot of exceptions to it, and most law enforcement have said they're not going to enforce it because it's really a health order, even though it's from the governor. So, we'll see.
So and that's, unless you have questions for us, I just have one executive session tonight, matters that require to be confidential, and that's all we have.
Okay. Mr. Brown?
I gave you my road report there. We've been doing Durapatch, and we'll continue to do some for a few more days, weather permitting, which tomorrow and Wednesday we'll not be able to do it. We'll have to wait till next week sometime to start back up. As Chief had said, we had a couple of trees blow over and had to close Northwind Road for 2 days. What I did was what I call a soft closure. I put the barricades in the lanes of travel, southbound lane and northbound lane. But if you want to go around them, you could go around them. And I did that way, if that tree came down that was leaned against the power lines, people had some sort of warning to keep them from running into it, because if they come up to it and they went to go around it, they'd have to slow down to go around it. They'd see the tree laying there if it did fall. Had we not done anything at all, someone could come buzzing down through there, and you're not going to see that tree in the middle of the night when it's dark. Even with your headlights, you're going to come up on it, next thing you know, wham, you're going to hit it. So I closed the road off, put advanced warnings up at the end of the road at Northwind and Lehigh, and at Northwind 129 saying the road was closed. I notified the school district that what I had done. I said, no, I'll leave that up to you. You buses can go around it, but the road is closed. Which, according to everything that I have read, and I don't know exact ORC, but when you close that road is closed. You go around that barricade, you're accepting liability for whatever happens to you when you go around it.
So you got barrels in the road, right?
Barricades, not barrels,
Oh,
barricades.
barricades with the road closed sign on it,
Yes,
right?
and
Okay.
flashing lights on it.
Yeah.
It's a barricade that's got 3
Yeah,
bars across it,
right.
yellow flashing lights, and it's got the reflective road closed sign on it. And then I had road closed ahead signs at the intersections.
Did the Cincinnati Bell tell you when they'd be out there to take care of that?
They didn't tell me, they told Chief sometime Tuesday when he called them, was
A
that?
minimum of 2 days was what the dispatch told me.
Yeah. That was on Sunday night.
Well, they still ain't cut the ones off the, hanging on the wires in Chandon
In
that's been there
Chandon, I
for
know.
years.
Well, I think Rob and I had a discussion on both Robinson and Northwind. And the tree did come from private property. It was now on the road right away, which is now the township's responsibility, leaning into the road. And we felt both agreed that this is our due diligence to make the effort to block it, because if we didn't, we felt that we would leave the township liable if we didn't do anything. So with that, Rob came up with the really good idea, the soft closure, which, you know, I saw in, jokes on Ross Talks, I guess, of people going around it. Well, that's their choice. They can go around it, but we did our due diligence by putting a road closure sign up on it until they did it. Now, Duke didn't get the one off of Robinson Road until 3:30 the next morning, because I know I got the call. And then Cincinnati Bell so that went from like 4 in the afternoon, no, 1:30 in the afternoon till 3:30 the next morning when Duke got the one off the live wire on Robinson. And then it was Tuesday, from Sunday to Tuesday, on the one on Northwind, and I'm sorry, Robinson was the other one. So when you have an event like that, they're not going to come out anytime soon. Duke and all those folks are backed up for days, and they prioritize. So it's just the way it is with that soft closure.
And just so you know, I could have went to Baker's and rented their lift, and my guys could have cut that off that power line, or that phone line. But after what happened with the arm mower incident with
Yeah, but if we
Cincinnati
tear it
Bell,
up, then we're buying it.
that's exactly right. I was not gonna touch that, because if we cut something wrong and it made that tree pop off and pull that line down, then that was gonna be our baby to fix, and I
And now-
wasn't doing it, so.
How much was the last one? 3,000 something, wasn't it?
Probably maybe a little more.
Yeah. Well, I'm good with what you did.
Okay. And then just with, the rut was real bad the last couple weeks. We've been having a lot of deer strikes and have to dispose of some deer. Thank God most of them been on county roads, but we've had a few of them on our roads. And then at some point, whether we do it tonight or do it at a work session before our next meeting or whatever, I'd like to discuss about a new pickup truck purchase for the road department.
You guys want to meet at 6 at our next meeting?
That's fine.
Good with that?
I'm fine with that. I've got stuff together, but I can get a few more things together, so we're a little, and I'll have a packet made up for everybody. And
Yeah, I'd like you to look into the other ones too.
okay,
That way we have a comparison.
Maybe the 14th.
That's the 14th.
14th,
14th of December, 6 o'clock.
yep.
Anything else, Ron?
That's all that I have.
Okay, Mr. Marshall.
All right. Nothing much more movement on the status report, just an update on Mustang Drive. They are for sure living in there. They have pulled up 2 trucks, pickup trucks, and it looks like they've moved out of wherever they were and using the 2 pickup trucks as their closets in that respect. The letter is, I sent the letter out on the 10th of November, just after you signed it. It's due this week for me to check and to begin the second letter with a little bit more effort and part. Nothing else really to report. There is a new investigation going on. It's at 3874 Shonling Avenue. This property, I had a lady call me, and then we met personally here in the office. She's very concerned about the fact that the gentleman is running a business that is a Class 2 business rather than a Class 1 on his property. And also behind, there is a lot of junk and several inoperable vehicles. So I've gone out and taken pictures and everything else, and I will be preparing that I want to go out and actually see if I can personally meet the gentleman. She tells me that he seems very cordial and willing to talk, and I just want to get his story. I also received a letter from Mr. Preston again, asking the same questions, being demanding. But this time I got a call from Mark Rutherford, one of the building inspectors for Butler County, and they received a letter as well from Mr. Fink. This man is still very upset about Mr. Weissman, and I think this all stems over a fallen tree that fell off of Mr. Preston's property onto Mr. Weissman's property there on Schraden Road, and everything else. I discussed it with Mark Rutherford. Mark said that after I told him what I was doing and everything else, that he would go back and tell Dennis that there's nothing for Butler County to pursue because we're taking care, it's our zoning issue, and everything else, and it's between neighbors, basically. That's what it comes to. I did stop by the Weissman place, left my card for Mr. Weissman to call me. I'm waiting for that call and everything else. I got a call today under the property for sale, 6510 Cincinnati Brookville Road. That's down around the curve and before the trestles. There's a set of houses on the right side as you're heading west on 126. There is a vacant, undeveloped lot there. It is up for sale. It is only an acre, has 100 feet road frontage. It is a lot of existing record, an existing record lot, and it also belongs to a recorded subdivision. So the person was asking me if they could put a manufactured home on the property. And I wrote back and said, no, you cannot put a manufactured home, which is a trailer or a double wide in that respect. But you could put a modular home, and the reason being is the modular home must be fixed to a permanent foundation. Okay, the next thing I want to bring up is Mr. Matt Peacock, who is a zoning commissioner his term expired. He wrote to me that he no longer wishes to be on the commission and everything else. So we will need a replacement. I will need to get an application out or a notice out that we're looking for. Brett suggested that when we did all the interviews for the two positions that were open on each of the.
Actually, there was 3 positions open, but Mr. Schweitzer had wanted to be on the commission to begin with instead of the Board of Appeals. I think now that there's an opening, I think he should have first choice if he wants to move to there, and then we find someone, because he wanted to do that, and he kind of went the other one so we could fill him. He kind of helped us, and I think if he would like to do that, I think we should allow him.
And I will be seeing him tomorrow night because we're having the second hearing, a second portion of the hearing for the Vangan BZA variance. So I can approach him with that tonight. If that's the case, if he does take it, then it would need a replacement for the BZA. Okay. The zoning commission meeting is December the 16th, and the biggest purpose for that will be the Shannon rezoning. And I will be putting a legal notice in the paper 10 days prior to that. Okay, because that should come back from the Butler County Planning Commission, which is already there. The subcommittee reviews it tomorrow, and then they will go on to, I think it's the 10th, or this is second Tuesday in December there, whatever that is. Okay, it's not the 10th, but it's down there. Yeah, before the Butler County Planning Commission to be approved and suggestions put there. Other than that, as I said, that's pretty much what I've got. Any questions or thoughts?
Okay.
Good.
Thanks, Dale.
Oh, I want to say I made a minor purchase. A minor purchase. Okay. I went and bought a rolling measuring tape just for my own backaches and stuff like that. Okay. I spent $59. Okay.
He had fiscal officer approval before he went.
No, believe me, I do.
Is that your $81.25 bill?
No,
was
that's
for
my,
Jack?
that's my mileage for the court.
What says Jack Grove?
Oh, it says
That's
that.
the fire department.
That's the fire
Oh,
department.
okay.
No,
I was
my
gonna
81,
compliment you on using the
mine
money
was 86,
sparingly.
wasn't it? Or
Yeah,
something
yours
like
was
that.
89,
89
or
or
something for
something
your
like that.
mileage reimbursement that we
Yeah, that was,
approved last week.
mileage was approved.
Have you had a chance to talk to Jack since last time you brought that up?
I've communicated via emails. We're still waiting, still trying to get together. I'm asking to meet him next week, next Monday, if we can, or next Thursday.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks, Dale.
so,
Okay, if nothing else, that's right.
nope.
Okay, I've gotten the information from the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Comp about our annual premium again. As you may recall, the last several years, we've done it in one lump sum payment paid in December so that we save that 2%. They're estimating our annual premium this year is going to be $12,271, so we would save $245.42. In the budget, I had budgeted $17,910 for our 2021 premium, just so I was sure I had enough. So my question for you is, do we want to just go ahead and pay it in one payment like we have been in the past, or do we want to spread it out over like 4 payments over the year?
I say go ahead and make the payment because you won't make it up in interest in the bank, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So you need a PO for the amount?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll make a PO to the BWC for the annual premium of $12,271.
And we'll have a savings of $245.42.
Yeah, what happens is we pay the
We pay it and then get it
$12,271
back.
and then they send us a check back.
Okay.
And that's the premium for 2021, correct?
Yes.
Second.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion approved. I need an approval for a PO to Boundtree Medical for $4,000 for medical supplies. Fingers crossed this will get us through the rest of the year.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Motion approved. I know this is under 1,000, but I need approval for a PO to Verizon Wireless for $600, again, to finish out the bills for the rest of the year.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Motion approved. I got an email last week that the Butler County Board of Elections has certified the election results for the fire levy renewal. 2,363 yes, 935 no, so the total votes cast for that particular issue was 3,298. So I have a copy of that in the file, and I also forwarded a copy to Chief so that he has it for his files.
Good.
And the only other thing I have is, we've talked about it several times tonight, we have 3 weeks between meetings, so probably that first weekend in December, I'm going to have checks that will need signatures so that bills go out on time.
Okay. Let us know when.
Okay.
Nothing for tonight.
Okay, Mr. Brucker.
2 things. I've been in contact with Sarah from Tri-Health on our quarterly DOT random participants for drug screening. And I submitted our names, and I was notified today that we do not have anybody that will be participating. We did not get anybody selected of our 3 that I put the names in, so we are off the hook for a quarter. I mentioned also that we closed the community center, and one other thing I had thought. Can't remember.
You good?
Yeah. Okay.
All right, the only thing else I got is Ohio Township legislation alert. The electronic meetings has been House Bill 444, passed through July 1st, 2021, so we can still do it through the Zooms. There's also a House Bill 450 for physical officers. I don't know if you've seen that, Connie.
Yeah.
And then there was another one here, House Bill 124, small livestock. Basically, they're saying that zonings are prohibited from regulating certain non-commercial agricultural activities on residential property. So that might be something you might want to check into.
Okay. Those last 2 they have not been voted on. They're things that are in
Yeah,
consideration.
it's being brought to it.
Yeah.
But I figure it's House Bill 124.
124. Okay, I didn't see that in the legislature.
And it
Reading
hasn't
on
been passed yet, but you may want to check it out in case it goes through. And
Specifically when they're saying, yeah.
and if
it's
you
gonna
want
have
a
to
copy of
understand.
this, I got an extra one. I'll just leave it for you, Dale.
I get that,
You got it too?
I get it in the emails.
Okay.
I get the OTA things in the emails all the time. And everything else. Oh, one thing I will say this too, I was the only one who attended the Lemon Township BCTA last Thursday, or, well, the Thursday that week.
So how many was there?
There was about 16 of us, I think. There were about 8 tables, and we were sitting 2 at a table, and the tables were about 6 feet apart all the way around. We were asked to wear our mask the entire time unless we were eating. Okay, that was the only time. Once we were finished eating, we had to put our mask back on, and everything too. But what came out of it is, one of the things that I didn't take a note on is, but I do remember, is the Ohio conference. The winter conference is canceled. There will be no winter conference. They're looking to see what they can do in terms of some virtual online seminar type things to go on. Nothing else big.
And that was in the OTA's, the township book they put out was on there about about virtual
Yeah, Connie
training.
brought it up last meeting.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean,
Okay.
just to do that. All
And
right?
also, there was one too, the Ohio Ethics Commission, the 4th quarter of the news. There's a sheet in there about a trustee also being or serving on as a volunteer fire department, which I have a feeling they're eventually going to change it where we're legally not allowed to do that. I think there's too much conflict in doing both.
You think? That's been a problem for 30 years.
Well, that's why when I became a trustee, I quit doing fire department. So. Other than that,
I know, I remember what the third thing was.
go ahead.
I have set up the robocall for the soliciting applications for the vacancy of the fiscal officer. And I just, if everything goes correctly, I can get that out tomorrow. If you want me to proceed with that, probably will be no more than $90.
Well, question, do we want to go ahead?
That's what my other thing was. Do I want to add just just a zoning board member and not clarify if it's a BZA or a commission?
That would be fine.
Okay. I can add that verbiage in my final.
Connie, you want a PO for us doing that? Or do you got the
I'm gonna
price?
put it on my credit card. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, is that, we're good with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay. That was it. I couldn't remember it.
The only other thing left we got is executive session.
All right.
So, I'll make a motion at 9:11 to go to executive session for number 5, matters required to be kept confidential. A public body may adjourn into executive session to discuss matters that federal laws or regulations or state statutes require the body to keep confidential. The common law attorney-client privilege does not qualify under this exemption to allow general legal advice in executive session because the body is required to assert the privilege.
Second.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
We are adjourned to executive session.
Turn the tape off. All right, I'll make a motion to come out of executive session at 9:32.
Second.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
We are back in session.
All right. If we don't have anything, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
We are adjourned.
Kill the tape.